Here is an EOA Live Grande story.
Our next guest is Bobby Levy, a Republican candidate for state representative.
I'm Bobby Levy. I'm from Echo, Oregon. I'm running for House District 58, Greg Barretto's position that he has decided not to run for. So in November, some friends of mine called and said, District 58 representative, there hasn't been anybody to file for it. Would you consider doing it again? So if you go back and listen to my story, I was born in Grande, and my family lived here until I was 5 years old. My dad got a job transfer and we moved to Hermiston, Oregon. He was a railroader on the railroad. My mother's parents stayed here and their last names were Dockweiler. My sister and my brother-in-law stayed and ran their business, Stickney General Construction. And I still have a niece and nephew here that run that business. And so I have deep roots from here. My husband's family, his dad's side of the family was from Union, and they had a mercantile there and an ice cream store. And Bob's grandpa was a very well-known horse person in the area. So in 2006, Governor Kuwangoski appointed me to the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. And after about a year, it became evident that when people from Eastern Oregon would come and bring their issues before the commission, they weren't really being listened to. So I went home and visited with my husband, and we decided to start hosting people to come to our home and educate them about rural Oregon issues. And that went on for about a year, and my husband said, the really important thing here is that you could probably do this as a business, and you're interrupting my time to go to sleep because we were staying till 11 o'clock at night. So we formed Eastern Oregon Women's Coalition about 2007, and in 2015 we became a nonprofit. And during that time we've been advocating for rural Oregon issues and bringing people from the legislature and from from Eastern Oregon or Western Oregon over to Eastern Oregon. We've had some pretty good successes with the help of Senator Hansel, and Senator Nelson helped us as well before he retired. And Representative Barretto and Representative Smith, they've all been very proactive to help us bring people over to Eastern Oregon. We've brought them from Morrow County, Umatilla County, Baker County, Union County, and Wallowa. We had Senator Jackie Dingfelter come, and she was very against the wolf issues and didn't want to hear anything while she was on the Natural Resource Committee. We brought her over through all those counties and toured her and took her up to the Zumwalt Prairie and flew her in a helicopter over the Zumwalt Prairie. And she realized how vast it was and how hard it would have been to put the cattle in a fence and keep them protected from a wolf. And so she went back and for the very first time heard any legislation in the environmental caucus so that she could take and have a hearing on it. And she voted in our favor. One of the things that's really important to me is continuing the work that we've done through Eastern Oregon Women's Coalition, and that's to fight for rural Oregon values. I don't enjoy the taxes that they keep putting on us that we don't get to vote for. Cap and trade is a big deal right now. The senators walked yesterday, the representatives walked today. The Democrats haven't been very open and honest with us, letting us talk about what's important to our side of the state. Right now they have a supermajority, so they use the emergency clause all the time. And so they pass taxes that we don't have the opportunity to vote on. I believe that it's really important that our values be heard. I believe that we need to have better education, and we can do that without taxing us all the time for that. I think that small business in our area is really, really important, but this corporate activity tax that they have going on right now is detriment to small business. Our local drugstore is a privately owned drugstore, and if you have $1 million of product or sales that you bring in. And a lot of times it's what you bring in and you anticipate selling it, but they don't count your overhead that you have to pay to bring those in. And you have to pay a percentage of tax on that. And just that tax alone probably is going to cause some problems in small business, especially in our smaller communities. The other thing that bothers me is that if we don't have a voice that's willing and able to fight for us, then the Democrats aren't going to listen. And nobody else has stepped up to run for Representative Barretto's position. And so I'm willing to come here and fight for Union County, Wallowa County, and Umatilla County. It's important to me that as rural Oregonians that we continue to uphold our values and that we're accessible to the people that we represent. And that's what I want to do. I want to represent all 3 counties. Some of the things that are important to Eastern Oregonian people are our family values. We're strongly family-oriented. We're strongly business-oriented. Most of us are farming and ranching and cattle people, and I want to see that way of life continue. It's really important to me. When I got on the Fish and Wildlife Commission, that was one of the things that I talked about all the time, was how important our family values were, how important that it was that we continued to have the life that we live. I enjoy fishing and hunting. I have 14 grandchildren. I wanted to see that way of life continue, and I still want to see that way of life continue. It's really important to us that our small businesses in our area, that our timber industry be strong, and they have a voice in how to take care of that timber. Not somebody from the east side of the west side of the state have that ability. I want the small business owner not to be taxed to death. We have numerous small businesses that are very profitable and do a good job at helping our communities be strong and vibrant, and I don't want to see them go out of business. I want to see the cattle ranchers who have cattle or have sheep on their property. I want them to be able to have those animals protected. I don't want the wolf to come down and cause problems for them. I would really like to see us work better with the Democrats, but until they're willing to come and see our side of the story, it's going to be an uphill battle. So through Eastern Oregon Women's Coalition, we worked really hard to bridge the gap between rural and urban divide. And one of the ways we did that was to bring other business people, small business owners, over here to meet other small business owners in Eastern Oregon. And we found common ways. We talked about water issues that they were facing on their small family-owned farms over on the west side versus the water issues we had here on our larger farms and small farms as well. We found other things that we all agreed on and things that we differed on, but ways that we could meet half and half in between in the middle and find a way to compromise. I really believe that it's really important to work across party lines. It's not always easy. But I also believe that there's a time and a place where you back off. Cap and Trade is one of them. They wouldn't hear any of our side of the story, wouldn't make any compromises. It was all their way or no way at all. And so in that instance, that's when you walk away. I think that there will be times when we will be forced to do that. As well, there will be times when we can find a way to compromise. I think it's important that if I'm elected, that I continue to bring legislators and business people over here to tour our side of the state, to learn about the things that are important to us, to see how hard we work. You can't be somebody in Eastern Oregon that runs a farming or a ranching business without being an environmentalist. You just can't do it. You have to take the environment into consideration in every way that you do your farming and ranching. There's a lot of people who are tied to farming and ranching, yet they're not in farming and ranching because some of what we all do helps continue to support the other businesses in town. The tire businesses, the farming supply businesses, the education, the college, we help support that and they help support us. And it's a big circle of community families working together. And and we have to support that.